Welcome back to the channel. We've been gone for 2 days, but we're finally back. And I'm talking about the NBA Finals. Miami Heat versus the Denver Nuggets. And all my NFL fans, just sit back, stay patient. We're coming out with the mini camp news that comes out later today. But if you're new to this channel, or if you're new, but you're a football guy who's been on this channel, let's talk about some basketball. And this is one of the opportunities to learn about how we go about basketball on this channel and just learn some more, get some better insight about this series, what can possibly go down tonight. And I think the biggest way, the angle that I'm looking at it, that I'm going to take is that the Miami Heat, how can they beat the Denver Nuggets in game 3? It's not if they can beat them, it's how can they beat them. And I think that's the angle I want to take, because the Denver Nuggets are favored. You got Yoke, you got Jamal Murray, you got Michael Porter, Bruce Brown, all of these guys. So how can the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler and the crew, get it done for game 3? And we're going to talk about all that now. As we can see right here, pulling up the stats, game 2 was an interesting one because, being a Heat guy, was rooting for the Heat through and through. And I think that third quarter, it was devastating. Nikola Jokic went off in the third quarter. Some people are going to say, force Jokic to be a scorer. Don't let anybody else get off. And there is some truth to that, but I don't think that the Miami Heat are just necessarily letting Nikola Jokic score. You don't let anybody score in basketball. And when we get out of man and we get into that zone, the key thing that I talked about, have a guy fronting Jokic in the post, and then having a guy backside. And that guy backside was usually Bam or it's Kevin Love. Now, I talked about Kevin Love in my video saying, can the Miami Heat make history again? And I said he has to be the guy. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. The Cody Zeller, he can come in, draw a couple fouls, give some energy off the bench, but he's not the guy. Understand that he is the backup center behind Bam. But when Cody Zeller's on the basketball court, his minutes just aren't very good. Now, with Kevin Love, there's a lot of things he can do. Not only can he be that backside help defender in the zone along with a Bam, he can also deter Aaron Gordon from scoring in the paint. And that was the biggest thing, because we saw it in game 1. Fast breaks were getting out court, and this is not even off of a miss. This is off of a score. We inbound the ball, we get down the court, we push the pace fast, just give it to Aaron Gordon in a low block. These guys weren't big enough and were undersized, even with the team that we have now. Think about it. I talked about Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter, those guys ranging from 6'8" to 6'10", and then we got Nikola Jokic, who's a 7-footer. So think about that. Bam being 6'8", 6'9", guarding Nikola Jokic, we're undersized from the jump. And adding to that, who's that for? Is it going to be Jimmy? Is it going to be Caleb Martin? Who's going to be that guy in that position? Max Strus, Duncan Robinson. These guys can't bang with an Aaron Gordon, even Michael Porter Jr. getting some easy shot attempts in the paint, but we didn't see as much of that in game 2. And I think that was the biggest thing. And really a lot of the situational adjustments from Eric Spoelstra. I thought he had a very great game plan. We talk about Mike Malone, how he coaches this team. How do they play? They love the high pick and roll. Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic. But the way we defended that was a lot different than how we defended it in game 1. And there's going to be some shots. Jamal Murray, he got to his shot a lot, but he didn't make as many shots as he made in game 1. And in game 3 tonight, will he do that same thing? Michael Porter Jr., will he do that same thing? And I think Michael Porter Jr., I wouldn't say the stage is too big for him, but I don't think he's as comfortable. Now, some of that is attributed to the Miami Heat getting up into him. We know he's a guy who's 6'10", and he has an elevating jump shot, so he shoots a lot of shots that are contested for some people. For him, it's not a contest. He can't even see your hand because he's 6'10", shooting over these guys, but challenging him with length. And now, once we get that matchup, we can put a Strus on him. We could put a Duncan Robinson on him. And what does this do? This opens up for Jimmy to get on Jamal Murray. I think that was the biggest thing. We saw it at the last possession when they got the 3 to try to go ahead and win the game. Got the switch, Jimmy getting on Jamal Murray. That is the key in this, because I talked about it. You want him to be guarding your best ball handler. That's Jamal Murray. That's your pick and roll scorer. You want Jimmy Butler to be on that. Gabe Vincent, I love Gabe Vincent and respect him as a defender as well, but he just doesn't match up with the size. Understanding Jamal Murray is not a traditional point guard. He's a bigger bodied guy, 6'5", 200 plus. He's running the pick and roll at the guard position, and he has the handle to go with it. So now we get Jimmy Butler into it. We can challenge him with length. We can be physical with him. And then now we come in and throw those other defenders at him. And I think Kyle Lowry, not a big box scorer guy, but he's been one of the more important players in this playoff series. He just knows how to draw contact offensively and defensively. He just gets the right calls, whether it be going our way, going against the other team. It's just different things that he can do, and it's a lot of veteran things that come with that, having that championship experience. Now, we talk about the Miami Heat were on the road with the Denver Nuggets, the altitude. You know, they even came out and say it. First 15 minutes, it feels like you're just gasping for air. And that's kind of the thing that we talk about with Denver. Everybody who goes there, whether it be the Broncos, the Nuggets, any team in Denver, that is a part of the home court advantage. Now, coming down to Miami, for the Denver Nuggets, I think there's a lot of things that went wrong in game 2 that I don't know would necessarily go wrong in game 3. Now, looking at their statistics right here, I want to talk about this because Aaron Gordon, only 7 shot attempts. I talk about it. Getting down the court, Kevin Love being able to deter him with that size, and Cody Zeller even playing a role in that, because understand, you can't really stop Jokic, but you can challenge him. And that's the biggest thing. As long as you're challenging his shots. Michael Porter, 2 of 8. Not a really good game for Michael Porter, and I talked about him in depth. Now, Nikola Jokic, 28 shot attempts, 16 to 18, extremely efficient, 7 to 8 from the line, shooting great from the 3-point in this entire playoff series. And I think that's just something that a lot of people haven't paid attention to, but I've been seeing that. Now, Jamal Murray, 7 to 15, 3 of 8. And we look at the statistics, and you say, okay, 18 and 10, that's not a bad game. But for Jamal Murray, they want more. And I'm going to tell you that. They want about 25 plus out of Jamal Murray, because we saw what he was doing in the Lakers series, and he's going to need to recapture some of that. And it's not about getting 18 and 10, because that's a great game by most standards. But Jamal Murray, for what we need in this series out of him, unless Gordon's going to step back up, unless Michael Porter's going to step up, we need him to get more. And I think that when we get into that zone, now they're passing the ball. And you know the Miami Heat, they get into that full court press. So we get a lot of the shots off of the shot clock. And that's why you see sometimes Jokic, he's throwing up a fadeaway at the end of the shot clock, or he's throwing up a 3. He's wide open at the end of the shot clock. But a lot of those shots are at the end of the shot clock. So my question for the Denver Nuggets is, how can they adjust to this? How can they get into shots quicker? How can they beat this full court press? How can they beat that zone defense? And now defensively, how can we get these guys out of their shots? Because we saw it. Duncan Robinson in the fourth quarter having a maniac performance. And I mean, looking at the statistics right here, we see 10 points, 4 of 5, 2 of 3. Got to the free throw line, had an opportunity for an and 1 on Jeff Green, but missed that free throw. And it was just in spurts. It's a game of runs. It's a game of spurts. And we're seeing it because these different lineups, they're getting on runs. And some of the lineups that we think will be more successful haven't been successful. I talked about Cody Zeller having unsuccessful minutes, and I really wanted him to get into the game, but I'm seeing that's something we're going to have to adjust, and we're going to have to back off of that a little. But let's pull that Kevin Love plug a little more. We saw it right here, 22 minutes, a plus 18 in these 22 minutes. So now, this is the question that I kind of had coming out of this game. How often can Kevin Love do this? At this point in stage in his career, can he give us 25 plus if we need it? Because maybe that's what they're going to say. We're just going to tire Kevin Love out. How long can he go? Because it's his positioning, it's his rebounding. And you can see right here, had 6 and 10. I don't care about him scoring. That's at this point in his career, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for positioning. I'm here for contesting shots, and I'm here for getting rebounds. And you did all of the above. Now, what I do want to talk about is we see the bench. The entire bench was negative in plus minus because Christian Brown, all these guys coming off the bench for the Denver Nuggets, they were balling. Bruce Brown came off the bench. Jeff Green came off the bench, and Christian Brown being a rookie coming out of Kansas, he gave you some really good minutes, and he was making effort plays, diving after loose balls, getting after it, attacking. And I think, how can he do that on the road? Now, we talk about it. Some young players play better on the road. Some young players play better at home. Will he be one of the guys who takes this show on the road in Miami and does some of this same thing? Because in the Lakers series, I wouldn't say he was unplayable, but he wasn't playable to this extent. And I see 15 good minutes right here. Now, Murray, Caldwell Pope, also talking about him, was very undisciplined on some of those three-point and jump shot attempts, which he fouled. And I think that was kind of uncharacteristic. I believe he fouled Gabe Vincent on a three-point shot attempt and got him to the line. But when you're doing this, looking at this lineup, Michael Porter Jr. playing 26 minutes. I talked about him. He may be my X factor in this game. And just looking at it before we wrap everything up, talking about how can the Miami Heat win game 3, I think it's talking about Jimmy Butler having to come back. 21 points. I love it. But let's get 30. I'm challenging Jimmy Butler to get 30 tonight because I think you're going to need it. The Denver Nuggets they're going to come out heavy hitting. They're going to give all the stops. Mike Malone, he's a great coach. He's been at many different stops, and he's won a lot of basketball. I don't think this is a coaching disadvantage, although Eric Spoelstra has proven he may be on an all-time arc as a head coach. But they're going to have to do that. They're going to have to continue to get to the free throw line right here, 18 of 20, first game. 2 free throw attempts. That was a big discrepancy looking at these 2 different games. Also, Max Strus, keep coming, keep the shots flowing. You didn't make a shot in game 1, but you had some shots in game 2. 4 of 10 from the 3. We're going to need that. 17 of 35 from the 3. Anytime you shoot 48.6% from the 3, you're going to win a basketball game. And talking about that, I think it's kind of safe to say, I'm not going to say that the Miami Heat, I'm not going to say this isn't them anymore, because I was saying that. Even being a Heat guy, I was saying, we can't keep this up. This isn't us. I watched basketball all regular season, couldn't shoot the 3, couldn't score, couldn't make shots, couldn't make layups, all of these things. I'm not saying that no more because I've seen a big enough sample size against Boston, against New York, against these teams in the playoffs to say, okay, we can shoot the basketball now. I don't know how it happened. I don't know where it came about, but I like the fact that it's going on right now. Gabe Vincent going to give us some big time minutes. And look, Jimmy, Bam, Vincent. That's 21, 21, 23. And that's the big thing we're going to need. I think Gabe Vincent showing us, before he had that ankle injury against Boston, he was hooping as well. So getting into that same thing, Gabe Vincent, Jimmy Butler, we're going to need you. But will Duncan Robinson give us a performance? Or will Max Strus give us a performance? Who's going to be that guy that steps up? Caleb Martin being a little more healthy in a game 3. Will he get back into the starting rotation? Or do we kind of ride with what we've been having and Kevin Love still staying in that starting lineup? Caleb Martin giving us that scoring burst off of the bench. I think that's something that can be visited. Now, I talk about it, and there's a lot of ways that it can be done. I talked about the ways that it could be done. But these Denver Nuggets won't go away. They've been the 1 seed in the West for a reason. They've shown us that it wasn't a fluke. This is a Denver team, and I talked about it earlier in the playoffs. I said the Denver Nuggets are a team that's playing basketball. When they swept the Minnesota Timberwolves, I said, okay, it's the Timberwolves. But at the same time, can we respect the Denver Nuggets? We're starting to respect them now. They're showing us they beat a stacked Phoenix team, a top-heavy Phoenix team, but they beat that team, beat the Los Angeles Lakers, who a lot of people wanted to see go to the finals. Now you got the Miami Heat. You got them dogs from the 305. Will it be done in Game 3 tonight? I want to know what your comments are in the comments. Let me know what you think about this. Who wins Game 3? How do they win Game 3? I think I talked about some ways the Miami Heat can get it done, but that's going to do it for today. And now, we are.